we're back on this. Just got done cleaning everything all up, putting most of the stuff away. Okay, so I took the studs here, I made new ones. There we go. So we got 4 different lengths here. I got the one long one for up in this hole where it goes real deep, so I don't know if that's deep enough. It'll work. And I got the 2 next ones, and I got the shortest one. Looks like all 3 is pretty close to the same length, even though I cut them different. Obviously, they're all 3 basically the same length. So, no difference. Okay. So I was trying to make these a little bit longer, but didn't really work out that way, did it? Yeah, theoretically, I guess one's that much longer. So this is our shortest hole, I think. So we'll put that on the top. And then these 2 here will go on the bottom. And this big long ass one goes up on top up there. Okay, now it looks like it might be leaking a little oil through here. So now is a good time to go look at that because I'm in here. It looks like the rotor can come out of here because there's enough room. So I went and got my tool. Now this tool doesn't like to fit. Let's see if it's going to fit in this rotor. It barely fits. Alright, so this, you squeeze it together. This here engages into the inside that, springs back out, and you just pull it out. That's how it's supposed to work. You can also use a couple of 5/16 valves. It's a little bit harder, but it works too. So. There we go. Make sure your magnets are always tight every time you're in here. They appear to be not moving. That's a good sign. Put that on the floor. So, looks like a genuine Harley seal in there because it's put in wrong. Typical Harley. So, whenever you're in here, you want to look to make sure things are tight. That appears to be tight. That appears to be tight also. That all looks good. So the seal's put in backwards, and for me it's made to keep the oil from going into the motor, not keeping the oil in the motor. That's why there's an oil leak right down there, see it? So Harley likes putting their seals in like this. That means the oil cannot get into the motor. If you flip it around like this, the oil stays in the motor where it belongs. So it's supposed to go in this direction. Harley has some great theories of why they should be in backwards, and typical Harley, they're full of crap. So we're going to pull that seal out. Now the problem is that seal is right up against the Timken bearing, so it's very easy to damage the bearing behind it. If you damage that bearing, you have a problem because that's the first thing that goes in the motor and put together. So don't do that. So the way we get that out is we take a peening tool like this, and we knock a hole in it. Then we take a puller, which I left on the counter over there. Yep. Left it laying over there. Too much junk in the way here. So this is my seal puller, so I upgraded a little bit. So this has a sheet metal screw in here, and I put a little bit bigger hammer on there to get more go. The stock one was this thing right here, this little light duty thing. And it might not even been that big one, but that's the one that comes with a heavy duty tool. I think it was even less than that. So this one here, I got a good probably, 7-pound chunk of steel there that goes back and forth. So it has more motivation to come out when you use it. Now this screw here has a really big point on it, which is not going to help us. That's going to actually be a problem. Hopefully it's not going to be a problem and it won't come out. We'll see. It might fight me. Everything else today has been fighting me, so why worry about anything else? Okay, so you want to make sure you poke a hole in it, but be careful. Don't go in too deep. If it feels too solid, move to a different spot. A lot of times I go 180 across and do another one. It's bleeding, that's a good sign. Okay, then you take your screw and you push on it. Try to engage. That one does not want to engage, so go over here. There. Slide it out a little bit. You see how that side screwed into it, slid out. The other hole's over here. I'm going to try to do it again. Engage in that and pull out the rest of the way. If you're trying to rip it out completely on one side, it's really hard. It cocks real bad. Same problem I have with the belt. It doesn't want to come off because you're fighting it. So you just go over 180 degrees and pop it. It comes right out easily with no problem. Let's see if I can get the screw to go in that hole. Doesn't want to engage in the hole. Not sure why it doesn't want to go in there, but probably because it doesn't go all the way through. It's bleeding this time. It wasn't all the way in before. It's leaking pretty good now. There we go. She's out. It's gushing everywhere, so let's get a towel rag under here real quickly to keep some of that in there. So you want to make sure you pull this off. Insert it into here. Without screwing the seal up, and then beat it back on like that. If you don't do it that way, you'll break the seal when you beat it in. I need a bigger hammer than this, but we'll have to make do right now. Appears to be flush. Got a good gush going over through here. That's alright. Shove the spacer all the way back in. Yeah, looks pretty good. So I'm going to shove that all the way back in where it belongs, so it should be good. So we got residue right now dripping out of here. So this piece is no longer any good. Yeah, good shot I missed. Maybe because I couldn't see the garbage can through the camera. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so we got our towel right here, which is soaking up the mess. Shove most of it underneath the bike there, so put it in here and soak up the excess that's in there. The absorbent pads work pretty well. They definitely absorb a lot of oil. Okay, so I'm going to wipe it off up here. Now there should be no more oil leaking down that. There might be a little residue because it's spilled in here, so it might leak a little bit for a couple days, but it shouldn't be too bad. Alright. Let's see if I can do a better job this time. Where's it at? Yeah, I still missed. I have to quit using my left hand or get a better idea where I'm at shooting at. Okay, get all this wiped out of here. Okay, got most of it out of there. Take an airline and blow off the top. Get the residue out. When you come back and wipe it, you got most of it out this time. There's a lot of oil on the fuel coils in there, so that blew most of it out, so it should be pretty clean. And the reason we got so much oil coming out of there is because the motor's wet sumped a little bit, because it hasn't started in a couple months, if not more. So that oil tank is draining into the motor a little ways. It's hard on your fingers up there. Okay. So whatever leak past this ledge will be on the, it'll come under the bike for a while, but Looks like it got most of it. Here's our washer right here. Should have put that back on there like that. It's like it was. Okay, so we're all back to how we started, except now we got a non-leaking seal in there, hopefully. You never know, it might leak still. I've had new seals leak, but usually don't. Okay, so now I get to put that rotor back on, which is laying right there. Now this is going to, looks like we picked up some trash on the floor, leaves, junk. So you lay it on the floor not to get all the chips in there. You get chips on there anyway. Okay, make sure all the junk's out of there that matters. And this is going to want to suck back in, so don't put your fingers on there. That's one reason why I got the tool still on there. It's easier to work with. See, it went right in there. Now, what do they put it on like that for? I'm just thinking here. That's not correct, dumbasses. See, this is not supposed to be there. Okay, they got a couple things. Okay, that's the 90 thou. Yes, that is supposed to be in there. That's 90 thou thick. We don't have as the big thick spacer that goes on here. See, the 90 thou one goes on the inside, the 200 thou thick one goes on the outside. See that big ring right there? That's supposed to be in there. It actually worked for once. Amazing. So, on the motor sprocket, over here, there's our clutch. Okay, so they did not put the spacer in there like they're supposed to. So they got a big offset pulley on here. They took out the 200 thou spacer, they added it to the pulley. It's welded on there. See that tack weld on there? That's the spacer they welded on. But that's not the correct spacer because it has holes in it. So they modified some stuff here to make this work. So, customization, not stock. Alright, so, get that out of our way. Put that back up there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the studs in here next while I still got room. When I put the pulley on that, it gets tight in there, there's no room. Alright, so that's how we do all that. Okay, let me get cleaned up, we'll be right back.